Hey y'all. Today, I have to be honest, I got on this topic and got hot under the collar and just went on a rant. So, today, the video, while we will have graphics and I am sharing a lot, it is mostly just me ranting about something that I keep observing and it irritated me. And for those of you who've been here for a while, you already know what kind of time I'm on. So, I hope you enjoyed today's video. But genuinely, I'm just so tired of people nitpicking and looking for any reason to dislike Harry and Meghan. But the fact that they are getting hot under the collar because she is a happily married woman and they have to find something negative in that, yeah, that irritated me. And so I decided to give them a piece of my mind. Let's get started. Hey y'all. Today, I wanted to talk about this very insane, but unfortunately pretty common trope that I've seen applied to married couples since the dawn of freaking time, but especially where public figures are concerned and where entertainment is concerned. And it can be really easy to say, well, that's relegated to entertainment. That's relegated to public figures. That isn't going to affect me. I'm not public. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not in entertainment. So why should I care? But I want to point this out because one, what we see perpetuated in our entertainment, that permeates the psyches of our society. So these things that we are taking as jokes, these things that we dismissed as just mentioned in jest, and we look at these things and like, oh, that's just a TV show trope to make jokes, etc. I think it's so easy to forget how that shapes the way people perceive others and relationships. And the tropes, that we see perpetuated in our entertainment, whether that's movies, music, or TV, we see that applied in our everyday. That starts to impact the way people see the world around them. That shows up in our society. That shows up in our everyday. That shows up in our church. That shows up in our workplace. That shows up in our relationships because it's become normalized. Now, the trope that I'm speaking about today is the scary, angry wife and the meek shell of himself husband. That is so ridiculous. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but what I am saying is it has become so normalized to apply this trope to couples, especially where a woman who has self-respect and doesn't shrink and doesn't apologize for existing and operates with dignity. And she has a husband who loves her and doesn't outwardly mistreat her or doesn't disrespect her or throw her under the bus for other people's attention and for other people's entertainment and other people's laughter. When they have a husband who treats them well, it seems like a lot of people in society in their minds have to say, well, she's probably making him do that. He doesn't act out because she's probably a bully. She's probably scary. And the reason people lean into that, which is ridiculous. First of all, we're in a patriarchy. We live in a patriarchal society that is heavily misogynistic. More often than not, a woman does not have the upper hand in her relationship with a man. Simply put, more often than, and especially if she's married, men often have way more power and control in that dynamic. Whether he uses it or wields it, that's up to the individual. But more often than not, men have way more power in society than women, especially their wives. So that trope already bothers me because factually it's untrue. But it bugs me because that has become so normalized in our entertainment. Like, think of some of the most popular sitcoms from the 90s that people still rewatch today. King of Queens, Everybody Loves Raymond. Like, these are two great shows that feature men who are the epitome of weaponized incompetence married to women that the show depicts as an asshole or a bully or a jerk. Meanwhile, the man is not only driving her crazy, but she's actually pretty reasonable and he's actually pretty ridiculous. But because he's painted as funny and lovable, the woman gets the bad edit and he gets the good edit. Even when he's ridiculous, like, for example, there was an episode of Raymond, Everybody Loves Raymond, where he started a fire in the kitchen, a kitchen where there's a sink, and he goes to the front yard, grabs a water hose. It doesn't reach all the way to the kitchen, so he just lets the water run out of the hose in the living room, about 40 feet from the fire. And the wife comes in and puts the fire out, and she's so frustrated, and he's standing there like, whoopsie. It's little shit like that back then I used to laugh about, but as an adult, I'm like, if my husband did that, I would probably have his brain scanned. I would ask him, like, are you okay? Did somebody give you unmarked pills? Like, why in the hell is that what you did? Or an episode of King of Queens, and I'm just going to use these two examples so that we're not here all day, because I mean, there are so many examples. What are your favorite examples of this trope? Let me know from a sitcom. Let me know in the comment section below, because there are millions. But like King of Queens, there's an episode where Doug doesn't want to go to La Boheme. It's an opera. And he gets a voicemail from Carrie. She leaves the voicemail at work for him saying, hey, I got tickets to La Boheme. Call me back and let me know if you want to go. And I'm going to get the tickets and come home. He doesn't want her to know he heard the voicemail because he doesn't want to go. And instead of just saying, I don't want to go, he goes outside and sits in the car and waits 4 hours, 3 hours, something like that, for her to get home, and then acts like he worked late. And then he leaves a voicemail to put the new voicemail light back on the machine. He leaves a voicemail and he has his friend do it, pretending that, hey, sorry you had to work late, but blah, blah, blah. It's this whole thing. She somehow figures out that it was a fake voicemail. She figures out the plan. And it's this very ridiculous episode of like, why do you always lie? Why are you always into hijinks? And he's just basically like, I'm scared of you. The reason I bring that up is because it's examples like that that continue to perpetuate this narrative of, if a man is not an abusive, cheating asshole, then he must be afraid of the shrew wife. And at one point, I would hear women say that, especially when I first got married and I started making married friends, and I would hear them talk about like these comments that were made in jest, kind of insinuating they were a ball and chain, or they were scary or intimidating, or their husband is just a sweetheart and she keeps him in line. And they would talk about how annoying those jokes were, or those comments were, or those ideals were. And I always wondered, like, where does that even come from? Like, do people just make that up about you? Well, now that I've been married 10 years and I've experienced it myself, but also I've revisited a lot of those movies and shows that I grew up watching, and I've seen this trope perpetuated. As a 38-year-old woman who's been married for 10 years, a millennial who grew up at the peak of those sitcoms, who loved the weaponized, incompetent male character and the shrew asshole of a wife, female protagonist, as someone who grew up seeing that in real time and seeing how that then became the groundwork and the stepping stone for pretty much beating up women in the media, or projecting these very harmful tropes, these archetypes like Meghan discussed in her podcast, these archetypes that women are placed into, these harmful, negative, untrue archetypes. And they're based on these harmful, negative, racist, misogynistic stereotypes. How those things have become so normalized in our entertainment, in our news, and our media, that they are now showing up in our everyday, in the way we interact with real people and real couples. And because we don't have anything else to connect over, we make the joke of, the ball and chain is here. Time to stop laughing. Wife is arriving. You happy wife, happy life. You can't smile if wife is around, because though we've now seen that so often, and it's how people connect with others, and it's this trope that's perpetuated. Our society has now created this: if you see a happy woman and her husband is not overtly abusing or mistreating or neglecting her, then she must be bullying him. That is so bizarre to me. And it seems to happen even more with Black women. It's almost like our society has become so detached from reality that when we see a Black woman or a minority woman being loved out loud, we gotta find the flaw, because that's not the norm. And when I was even thinking of it from that angle, I said, well, why would that even be? So I visited a couple of romantic movies, and I'm using quotes when I say romantic, a couple of romantic movies with a Black female lead. And in most of those movies, in order to get the guy, in order to be wooed, in order to be loved on out loud, in order to win at the end, the big romantic moment at the end, and to get the guy, most Black protagonists, most female protagonists who are Black in these movies and shows, they have to put up with shit like cheating. They have to put up with shit like outside babies that they now have to accept and tolerate. They have to give up their dream job. They have to decide not to move and come back. Shout out to Gina Waters. You can't go get your dream job because your misogynistic asshole boyfriend wants to propose after 4 years because he doesn't want you to move. So you move back for him and you live a life of what looks to be absolute misery. Anyway, that's a whole nother. The point I'm making is in our entertainment, we often don't see the Black woman win without paying a hefty price. So in real life, when people who lean onto those tropes see a Black woman winning, or a Black biracial woman or a minority woman winning with her loving, adoring, successful dream guy, well, we got to find the price she paid. We got to find the caveat. We got to find what is she doing to have that, because certainly she doesn't deserve it. We're not used to seeing Black women winning. We're not used to seeing minority women winning. We're not used to seeing men fall all over themselves to adorn their wives with love and honor. That's usually reserved to another type of woman, not you. What are you doing to get him to do that? Oh, wait, it must be witchcraft. Oh, wait, you must be bullying him. Oh, wait, you must have beaten him to smithereens before the camera showed up. You must be scaring him and intimidating him. You must be an intimidating dragon lady. You must be a bully. You must be a diva. Sounds so familiar, and it's so freaking sad. And just because Meghan is rich, just because she's a public figure, it doesn't mean that that's extremely unfair to paint her a certain way because in your mind, she doesn't deserve to be treated with respect and dignity by her partner. Because in your mind, the fact that she has self-respect and is willing to walk away when she's not treated well, that means she must be a diva. Something's wrong with her to not take scraps. Something's wrong with her to expect her husband to show up and be a good man, and he's happy to do so because he knows what he has. Not only are people not used to seeing Black women and women who are minorities being loved on out loud and being put on a pedestal and being pampered as wives and women, not only are they not used to seeing that, but there seems to be this visceral aversion to it. It feels like the moment people saw that not only was Harry in love with Meghan, but that he would go to the end of the earth for her, that he would pull a star out of the sky for her, that he would swim the deepest ocean and climb the highest mountain if it meant making her happy and protecting her. You know, the things that we should want our husbands to feel. The things that when we see men who devote themselves to their wives and their families, we should encourage. But when it became abundantly clear that Meghan wasn't crawling on all fours and licking the ground that Harry walked on just to get his attention, like some women would willingly do happily, just for a bit of his time, when it became clear that she was loved and loved out loud and she didn't have to perform for it, and she knew it was what she was worth, and so she accepted it and reciprocated it. When it became clear that they were equals, not only equals, but happily in love as equals, it pissed people off. Now, we've talked about the aspect of that is rendered from racism. What do you want us to do? That's just the society we live in. We've talked about the aspect of that is misogynistic. Again, the society we live in. But the fact that it feels like a personal grievance against certain people when they see a Black woman who is married to a man who loves and adores her, the fact that it seems to truly piss people off, and they not only have to find the flaw, but when they can't find one, they'll just make one up. Does that not terrify anybody else? Now, I want a little crowd participation here because I know the demographic I'm speaking to is majority women over the age of 35, which is my favorite demographic. If you are a married woman, I want you to, one, give me the worst advice you've ever received as a married woman. What's the worst marriage advice you've ever received? Please let me know in the comment section. But then also, please let me know this. Have you ever experienced that trope? Have you ever experienced people making that joke at your expense, the ball and chain wife and the lovable husband, or applying that trope to you and your partner? Even if it's just assuming that's the trope or referencing that trope in some way and applying it to you. Have you had that experience? And if so, let me know in the comment section below, and feel free to share the story if you have one. But as someone who's been married for only 10 years, I mean, I'm fresh in the game. We're still wet behind the ears. We're just getting started. But as someone who, I just happen to be married to a very lovely, personable man, and he is very friendly and bubbly and energetic. He is just one of those people that when you talk to him, he's very engaging, he's witty as hell, and he can just keep the conversation going. He is so cool. Like when my husband is engaged in conversation, I'm just like enjoying it. Like I know I enjoy conversing with him because we have a lot in common. But when I see him on, like with colleagues and with his clients and just with strangers, people just walk up to my husband and start talking to him. It's very weird. when we first started dating, I made a joke with my sister. I was like, I'm convinced he is paying people to just walk up to him and talk to him in front of me so he can feel like a big guy, because there's no way people just are drawn to this man like that. Well, 14 years later, 10 years married, that's just it. People just like him. He magnetizes people, and that is amazing. It's one of my favorite qualities of his, but it's also a quality I don't possess. And I'm not making any bones about it. I'm very reserved. I rarely talk to strangers. If you talk to me, I will engage you, but I'm not going to start a conversation. I'm not very extroverted, but I am friendly and polite. I'm just not witty. I'm not witty, and I'm just not one of those people. But my husband is just on, and he's so good at it. I'm always so impressed. But because we are so different, people have a nasty habit of trying to subtly make the shrew wife, ball and chain wife, and the friendly, lovable husband thing. They try to paint us as that. Not only is that very frustrating and annoying and a complete misrepresentation of who we are as a couple, but a mischaracterization of both of us. But when it started happening consistently, especially with people that I didn't know that well, like people who, I went to church with them, but we weren't close and we didn't know each other. And they would say little things like, oh, let me tell him to hurry up so he don't get in trouble. Like, huh? Get in trouble? It's a grown ass man. Get in trouble? Shit. Get in trouble with who? Am I in trouble too? Like, that's just not our dynamic. We are very much a democracy. Even though, and this is no judgment to anyone else, but do you? But I actually do not like when people make the happy wife, happy life comment to us. It bugs me just because, yes, I'm a very, very happy wife, but I take pride in making sure my husband is very happy as well. It makes me happy when he is happy. As a matter of fact, if he is making me happy, but I can't tell that he is happy, then I'm not happy no more. Because his happiness is extremely important to me. It's the most important to me, is to make sure that he is happy. I love to see my husband just thriving. So we're equal. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because people who've known us throughout our whole lives, individually or together, they'll just lean into that damn trope. And I genuinely think it's because they're not used to seeing Black or minority wives who are loved on and pampered, and I won't even say spoiled because that annoys me. Like, how you spoil someone? Just do right by people. But a pampered and loved on wife whose husband treats her with respect and loves doing so. And they kind of take that and say, oh, well, she must be bullying him. He must be scared of her because no husband is going to act like that on their own. She must be intimidating. She must be holding something over his head. She's got him by the balls. Someone actually made a joke like that with me. Someone I didn't even know that well. We saw some people we used to go to church with, and the guy was making jokes. He was like, man, I never see him anymore. We used to hang out all the time. I said, man, she's wearing his balls as earrings. Now, like I said, I'm not a bully. I'm not mean. I'm not a jerk. I treat my husband with love, kindness, and respect, because if I didn't want to treat him that way, I wouldn't have married him. And I expect the same in return. But I didn't say I was nice all the time. Not to him. I'm nice to him all the time. But I didn't say as a person I'm nice all the time. So when that man made that balls for earrings joke, he got the bully he was looking for, but it wasn't at my husband. When I tell you I said what I needed to say to him, because how dare you insult my husband that way? And how dare you insult me that way? You are not only maligning my character, but you're also maligning my husband and the very real backbone that he has. In my opinion, you're minimizing him as a protector and a provider, because why would I need to wear his balls as earrings when he is happy to make me happy? And I wouldn't have married him if he wasn't. And like I said before, I learned from the best. I grew up, majority of the time, my caretakers were my grandparents. And I've always grown up seeing my grandfather pamper my grandmother. Like, and when I say pamper, I mean pamper. Like, now, hey, I said that, being a wife is not being spoiled. Being taken care of should be the norm. That should be the norm, to love on your partner, man or woman. That should be the norm, to make your partner feel happy, to put them on a pedestal, to make sure they don't have any worries, to make sure they know that they are always loved and supported, to go above and beyond to impress them. That should be the norm. It should be a sport, a highly competitive sport, over who can make who the happiest. And that should be a lifelong competition. Let's both try to outdo each other. Everybody wins. Aside from that, when I say spoiled, I mean that. My grandmother was spoiled. I can only hope that at some point we get to that level. But I mean spoiled rotten. My grandfather treated her like the Queen of Sheba. I mean, you name it, he's done it. And he loved every second of it. He loved wowing my grandmother. He loved treating her like a queen. He demanded respect for her and her household. And he was happy to do whatever she needed him to do. And it made him even happier to do things that she didn't even know she needed. He liked to impress her. I grew up seeing that. That was my influence. And while I have dated knuckleheads, I always knew I would marry a man who behaved and operated from that same thinking. That to me is the norm. So imagine my surprise becoming an adult and seeing how society treats happily married women. It's almost like people feel like we got to balance the scales. If we see a woman who is pampered, if we see a woman who is taken care of, hell, if we just see a woman not getting beat or cheated on, we have to humble her in some way. We have to balance it. We have to perpetuate this shrew of a wife. The only reason he would be treating her like that is if she's terrifying him at home or withholding things from him or abusing. Like, the fact that this conversation has started, I'm pretty sure I'm ready to get to the comments because I'm pretty sure for most of you, this is nothing new. You've been seeing society do this to women and wives for a long time. Now, we can even have a conversation of how society treats single women. That's a different conversation. But since this one is pertaining to the Meghan is a bully and she is intimidating and Prince Harry is miserable and just does what she says because he's afraid of her trope, because that is the topic and what led us here, that's what I'm focusing on. Not just Meghan, but society hates happy women. And society hates happy Black women even more, because who the hell are you to not labor for me? Who the hell are you to have self-respect and a backbone? Who the hell are you to be willing to walk away? You should be accepting scraps. Who the hell are you to know who you are? And I've said this before, society just has that, not everybody, but a lot of people in society just has this look of Black women as, who do you think you are? It's really pathetic and sad. And you see that showing up when people discuss her marriage with Harry. And I also want to pause. When people discuss her marriage with Harry or Harry's marriage with her, it bugs me because you don't know them in real life. You are not there, and you don't know either of them individually or as a couple. So to even speak on those people is insane to me. Like, the type of liberties people take is just crazy to me. But even if you just go on what we see in the public eye, how in the hell are people turning that into Meghan is a bully and Harry's afraid of her? First of all, if we just go based on what Harry has said about Meghan, child, nobody has ever been loved more. He is happy to talk about his wife and talk about what she means to him. He's one of the very few celebrity and public figure husbands who openly gushes, not just about his wife, but about his home life. Like, I don't know that I've definitely never seen a royal that happy with the marriage they're in. And we rarely see royals who get to marry who they want to. So Harry got to marry the love of his life, and look at how happy it's made him. And I think that's also an aspect of it too, zooming in just on them as a couple and the royal family that they're part of. I just think people are averse to seeing people push back against the protocol or against the status quo or the expectation or the quote unquote the rules. They don't like when people thrive when they push back against the establishment. They want you to suffer, even though they're not part of the establishment. They still want to see the establishment and the long arm of the establishment rear you and keep you in line. People were hoping their marriage failed just so they can say, see, that's why the rules are there. That's why. You can't marry who you love. It will never work out. It has to be about the rules. It has to be about status. It has to be about the future and the order of things. It has to be a business deal. You can't marry for love. You have to marry for status. You have to marry for business. So to see Harry marry for love, 100% marry for love, and end up literally taking the cake when it comes to business, philanthropy, a happy marriage, happy children, get to see the world. Not only has his influence improved, but their influence as a couple has improved. Not only has it improved, but it's overshadowing the influence of the entire establishment he was born into. And he didn't have to strategize. He didn't have to overstep or undercut anybody. He didn't have to play Game of Thrones. He married the person he loved and got everything. Like, when you say hit the jackpot, I think of Prince Harry. Like, the jackpot. And man, did he deserve it. That man has been through so much. He deserved to meet someone like Meghan. He deserved to have the life that he has now, because Lord knows he's had to work his ass off. And at one point, for a long time, it was just thankless work, unappreciated, and he was treated like the redheaded stepchild, the scapegoat. And boy, did he show them. And all he did was marry for love. He didn't have to strategize. He didn't have to try to manipulate. He just followed his heart, and it paid off big. I think that is also an aspect that I haven't really discussed enough. I think people are just pissed that he was right. His intuition was right. This is the right move for me. And it doesn't look like what you wanted it to. It doesn't look like the type of person you wanted me to be with. It was true to me. And she happened to be a minority woman. She happened to be an American. She happened to be a woman who had her own. She happened to be a woman who would not bend over backwards and turn herself inside out just to be associated with these people. She happened to be a woman with self-respect, her own life, Black and American, and they could not take that. And I feel like to this day, and since then and beyond, they've had to try to find a caveat. Well, it only works because she lays down the law. It only works because she's intimidating. It only works because she's a bully. No, it works because he loves her. And zooming out, I'm not trying to be offensive, but hey, y'all picked on them, so I'm gonna pick on you. Zooming out, the people who like to perpetuate that "what did she do to get him" idea, you're telling me that the person you're with, you had to bend over backwards for. Who knows what kind of unimaginable, unspeakable things you're tolerating just for the sake of being in a union? Who knows what types of things you're accepting just so you can say, I got a big right ring on my finger? Who knows what kinds of things you had to do to get the guy or get the gal? Because clearly, if you were married to the person you love and you were being treated well and you enjoyed treating your partner well, you would understand. You would be able to relate. And so seeing someone like Harry and Meghan, seeing a couple like that thriving, that would be the norm for you, because then that would be indicative of the union you're in. The fact that it seems so foreign that a man can love his wife like that, unprovoked, and the fact that it seems so foreign that a woman can love her husband without wanting to abuse him, that tells me that what's normalized in your world is anything but that. That tells me that you can't relate to a loving, equal relationship. So you're projecting. A lot of times, accusations are simply projection. So when you see people out here, she's a shrew of a wife. She's bullying him. Harry is afraid of her. Grown-ass man has done 2 tours in Afghanistan, an Apache pilot, a trained soldier and captain, a man who's been all over the world, has influenced millions, can fight, can shoot, can fly. He's afraid of his little old wife. Do you hear yourself? Like, that sounds crazy. That man is not only privileged, he's rich, he has influence, he has connections you probably couldn't even imagine. He does not have to be anywhere he doesn't want to be, in any capacity. Do you genuinely think if he didn't want to be married anymore, he couldn't just get out of the marriage and go on about his business? But that's the part that bothers you. He has all the access, all the resources, all the connections in the world. And where he chooses to be is with his beautiful, successful, happy Black wife. Anyway, sorry for the rant, y'all. It gets my goose. And it's something I've been noticing for a very long time. And every time I think I'm going to talk about it, we talk about something else. And so finally I was like, I'm just seeing one too many of these. Harry is afraid. Harry looks miserable. Meghan is forcing Harry. Harry is what did she say? Bend the knee to Meghan. Like, these insane narratives that I cannot imagine. And this is why I'm glad they don't really tap into that kind of crap. But I cannot imagine like scrolling on my phone and someone being like, John bends the knee to Sharion and he's afraid of her. I would be like, where did you write this from? I'm coming to choke you out. Like, I don't know how celebrities do it. Like, I would have caught several charges by now, because how dare you? But it's also indicative of the things that they think are the norm. It's not normal for a man to willingly love and adore his wife. In their world, that is something that has to be forced. And if they weren't such vile people, I might feel bad for them, because they are telling us how they are treated and what their norms are in their everyday lives, which explains why they're so damn miserable, which again explains why they're in the type of business they're in and doing the type of stuff they're doing. Only misery could perpetuate that crap. But then when you zoom out too, society has created the perfect cocktail for that kind of narrative to thrive. That type of anti-woman, anti-minority woman narrative to thrive. It's in our entertainment. Mean wife, lovable husband. I remember once trying to describe this to someone and saying, I love being married to such a personable husband. I love being married to a man who's just so great. He's so funny and personable, and people are just drawn to him. But I genuinely feel like because my husband is so friendly and lovable, people almost have to find a flaw with me. I call it the curse of the happy husband. When a man seems too enthralled with his wife, or he seems like a lovable guy, people almost feel like they have to quote unquote defend him to you. And that is just so weird, because there is no way in hell I would ever involve myself in anyone's marriage. I remember once we had family, but guests over, and I'd asked my husband to not use these plastic, it was this giant knife and fork thing, or a giant spoon and fork thing. And I was like, don't use those to mix up the food because they'll break. And I want those to pass out the salad. And he was like, it won't take long. It'll be fine. And I kept saying, no, use the wooden ones. Use the wooden ones because they're strong. They'll withstand. And he was like, I'm only going to do it for a second. Well, one of our relatives came in right after he said that. And when she sat down with us, he stirred the food and both utensils broke. And I literally just looked at him and said, see what I mean? Was I irritated? Yes. Was it a big deal? No. But I did look at him with a very, had you listened, it wasn't this tense moment, but it was a moment of like, now see, if you had listened to me, typical stuff. I literally look at him and he laughs like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh my God, you were right. And so we're kind of just having this light moment. Why did my relative go, don't be mad at him. Calm down. It was an accident. Now, I love people and I like to let people be who they are. I try not to control people, but I absolutely let people know when you are in my home, how dare you involve yourself with me and my husband? Like, neither of us need a translator. So if I want to be mad about something, if that's what I was, then I'm going to be that, and you can't stop that. But I would never do that. If I saw a couple discussing anything, especially something so light, I wouldn't. And I just would never overstep that way. And so I told her, I said, you are severely overstepping. He does not need you to translate for him. He is a grown ass man. Know your place. Then I made it uncomfortable and stale in the room. I sucked all the fun out. And she was like, well, I was just saying because you seem mad. I said, okay, so I seem mad. What does that have to do with you? This is my husband. And she was like, well, I just didn't want you to be mad. And he goes, she wasn't mad. She was joking with me. And she's like, well, I'll just go home then. We were like, okay, bye. Like, but that's just like a very small example, but people do that all the time. Like, they'll go out of their way to be like, I'll give you a great example. One time we were at a work thing. He doesn't work at this company anymore. We were at a work thing and someone was like, hey, do you mind helping me carry these boxes in from my car? It was one of his colleagues. And he was like, oh yeah. And out of nowhere, he's getting up from the table we were all sitting at. He was like, oh, y'all help. My husband is 6'5", 250 pounds of muscle. He's always asked to help pick up something. He loves it. It's fine. It's fine. And so he gets up and out of nowhere, the woman goes, don't get mad, wife. He's just going to be a minute. Don't get mad. And like clockwork, he goes, why would she be mad? If she were mad, she would have told me. I wouldn't be coming. You don't need to address her. First of all, that is the only thing that makes that okay, is when my husband steps in and is like, don't address my wife like that. Like, that is the only thing that keeps me from being like, who the hell are you talking to? Like, if I wasn't mad before, addressing me that way, especially dressing me on behalf of my partner, is crazy work. Like, I don't know why people think they have to protect him or why, but again, that's just another leg of the shrew wife, sweet, lovable husband. People genuinely feel comfortable like stepping in, like, don't be mad, wife. He's only going to be a second. And see, the type of petty I am, I wanted to be like, in my mind, I was like, well, no, he's not going to be anything because now you got to sit his ass down. Now he can't come. Now he is being bullied. But no, all jokes aside, I would never. But part of me did want to say, well, see, now he can't help you. Husband, come on back. We're going to finish our conversation. Like, I could have easily just shut all this shit down. But instead, he stepped in. He was like, you don't need to address her. If she didn't want me to go, she would have told me. She's not mad. She was like, oh, I was just joking. And both of us were just like, Did you need help with the boxes or not? But again, I think it's just like an uncomfortable way of creating humor. But again, it's normalized in our society to perpetuate that shrew wife, friendly husband. And you'd be surprised at the liberties people take. What's even crazier is it completely negates that narrative when they do that. Because if I was a shrew wife, if I was a bully, if I was a bitch, you wouldn't feel safe doing that. You wouldn't even feel safe stepping in because then you would know what was coming. So if you genuinely felt like in any way, shape, or form I was oppressive to my husband, you wouldn't feel comfortable stepping in because then you would know what was coming next. The fact that you feel comfortable engaging and taking such liberties is a testament to the fact that I've probably let too much shit slide. I've been too friendly. And so that's just how I've experienced that showing up in my little world. But I'm pretty sure, being that I've only been married 10 years and that very small but very annoying thing happens, I'm pretty sure for some of you who've been married for a long time, you have had that experience. You've had the experience of being painted as the ball and chain. You've had the experience of being painted as, oh God, don't let her hear that. She's going to be mean. He's so sweet. I don't know why he's married to that shrew of a wife. Like that whole thing just drives me crazy. And the only thing that makes that, it's never okay, but the only thing that actually calms me down when people do that is when my husband is the one that's like, excuse you? Don't address my wife that way. Like when he is the person that's like defensive and he's like, excuse you, like, why would you even say that to her? Then they realize like, oh, not only is he loving, he's very defensive and protective. Like, oh God, that pedestal is high, huh? But no, all jokes aside, have you guys had that experience as well? I mean, it is really common. I'll never forget, like I mentioned, my grandfather pampered my grandmother. And he loved it and she loved it. And so that's just who he was. And he felt the same, like he did the same thing for his daughter. He did the same thing for his granddaughters. Like he is the reason I am the way I am. Like he is the reason that I am spoiled. You blame him. He used to make that joke. He literally officiated my wedding and he said, "You now taking her off my hands, but she is never out of my sight." And that, he said, she is always covered and she will always be my baby. That is what I was raised under. That was the umbrella of love I've always been raised under and within. And I'm used to being treated that way by my grandfather and my uncles and my cousins. Like, that's just the norm for me. And so, but that's not the case for other people in my family. And even growing up, hearing how people would refer to my grandmother, that again, that trope showing up. My grandfather loved doing for my grandmother, but my grandmother was one of the sweetest people in the world, like genuinely the sweet. She would take care of anyone. She would cook for and feed anyone. She would give you the clothes off her back. She would do whatever you needed because she loved taking care of people. She was an excellent person and she was the first lady of our church and she committed herself to her congregation, but just to the world around her. Both my grandparents were very loving people, just who they were. Even that sweet woman, because her husband loved her out loud and pampered and spoiled her, the things I overheard from other people, basically saying that she was a diva and that she was high maintenance, and that he was afraid of her and that he better not step out of line. She's mean, that one. She is, what did they call her? Sharp as a tack. And they would say those kinds of things like paint my grandmother, the sweetest person that ever walked this earth, paint her as a bully and a diva because she had the nerve to be married to somebody who loved being married to her. And to them, that's not something they were used to seeing. And if they saw that, there had to be a reason. What is the caveat? Because who are you to be loved out loud? Unfortunately, that is nothing new. I would love to see that called out more. And that's why I don't even let people joke with me like that. It's just not funny to me. There's nothing funny about being mean to my husband. There's nothing funny about abusing anybody, but especially the man I love most. That's very annoying. But also, I don't take too kindly to being mischaracterized. I can be mean, but I'm not going to be mean to him. I'm going to be mean to people who deserve it. But anyway, that's just, I mean, I feel like almost every woman in history understands being mischaracterized. But women who have been loved out loud, there's just something that, there's an aspect of society that just genuinely hates that. Because who are you to know what you're worth and to cash in on it? So anyway, y'all let me know your responses in the comment section below. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some interesting responses, but have you had that trope applied to you? And if so, how did you respond to it? But anyway, for everyone else, for the target audience who I've been reading in this video, Meghan is a wonderful woman. Harry has let us know that every opportunity he gets. So why wouldn't he love being married to her? Why wouldn't he jump at the opportunity to express his joy that he got to get the girl and they got to have beautiful, happy kids and they got to build a beautiful, happy life? Why wouldn't he share that with the world with joy and peace and happiness? Because not everybody's so blessed, especially the royals. I mean, the royals and love are literally opposites, polar opposites. I can't think of any other couple who we've ever seen that seemed happily in love. We've seen married couples and we've seen couples who quote unquote went the distance in the royal family, but my God, they dragged each other there kicking and screaming. I think y'all just don't know what to do with Harry and Meghan. I think because they are an anomaly and because you are so committed to being part of the long arm of the of the firm, despite them not giving a damn about you, you want to oppress Harry because he dared to say, I'm going to go get what I want. I'm going to get the person I deserve. I'm going to go build the life that I want. I'm not going to let people pick a miserable bride for me. And we just follow the steps, and I follow in the footsteps of my family of just marrying anybody that they decide I should marry and do what they tell me to do and just become a robot. He gets to live, and he gets to live and love life while he's doing it. That's just not something we see from our royals. And I think that's what's bothering people. That and the fact that he stood 10 toes down for his black wife, and y'all are pissed about it. But anyway, y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to share so that more people can find us. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.